Hey, how you doing today? I wanted to go live today, and I wanted to do an about video so everybody knows who Right Way Outreach Ministries is and what we're about, so we can use this video on our brand new custom website that we're in the process of developing. So, for those of you who already know what we're about, I'm sorry that you have to watch this video, but for those that don't, that are visiting our site, that are just now getting this and coming to us and saying, who are these guys? Who are they about? What's the deal? First of all and foremost, I want you to know that we are a 100% volunteer run organization. Every single dollar raised goes directly to helping people in need. We don't have any big salaries or big overhead expenses. We don't have buildings. We don't have, all kinds of clerical positions and several different people who deliver messages and having to pay them and everything. So, um, why we started Brightway Outreach Ministries, why we started the whole thing to begin with was because I had been to several local churches in Harford County area primarily, and I have just seen what goes on in these churches, and it's just, it's not doing it. They're not doing it the right way. You know what I mean? So they're raising funds, they're taking money. Some of their pastors are living like absolute kings in 1.2, $1.3 million homes. And it's like, is that where the money goes? So we wanted to come up with an idea, and then they do help, some have recovery programs, some do some outreach, they do some trips to like Africa and they help Africans out, and they build like summer camp projects for them and whatever, and feed them and everything, and that's great. They say we're helping people with no electricity and running water and all that, and that's great. But what we want to focus on with Right Way Outreach Ministries is we want to focus on the people who actually live right here, right? So, like, right in our backyard, maybe even some of the people that live in the bushes at some of these churches. And instead of worrying about the people in Africa, we're going to worry about the people right here for now, you know. So that's kind of why we got started. We're looking primarily for people who are helping homeless people, people coming out of drug treatment facilities, those who may have been recently released from prison, whose families maybe don't trust them, maybe aren't going to allow them to live with them, maybe aren't going to be able to, let them stay with them for a period of time. So we want to provide them with short term transitional housing, which will allow them to live up to 6 months in one of our places, either a local hotel or apartment, while they kind of get back on their feet. That's kind of the goal of the program, is to help them, give them a free place to stay so they can focus on putting their lives back together, right? If they need to go to like a Celebrate Recovery, they can certainly go to that. If they need to get a sponsor for AA or NA or whatever, they could certainly have that. Um, we're not going to micromanage them. We're going to treat them like adults because we're only working with adults at this time. We're not working with kids. There's other programs out there that work with families and kids and stuff like that. And DSS works with like adoption programs and all that, kind of foster homes and all that. We're not getting into all that. We're just helping adults only at this time. But what we're trying to do is during their stay, we're trying to give them some life skills and mentoring and coaching from the ground up. So, like, how to put their lives back together. We're going to try to coach them a little bit with the Bible, with scripture, and teach them about Jesus and why he's important in everyone's life, and how they can, use Jesus to lean on him when they are going through a hard time and they need something. So we're going to do that. We're going to go over basic life skills and have some personal mentoring to prepare these people for full independent living. We want them to use this opportunity of being in the short-term transitional housing for, a way to kind of put away some money, a way to save up a little bit to get ready to, get their own apartment or get their own, townhouse or their rental property, whatever. Or maybe even, if their credit's good enough, maybe even purchase a house. I am a real estate agent. I could help them do that if they qualify. And we actually have programs out there available that a lot of people don't know of and aren't aware of, that people can get up to $20,000 towards down payment assistance. The money usually goes pretty quickly. It's only available, usually during certain parts of the year. But if you time it right with everything, we might be able to actually take these people literally from living on the streets to actually purchasing a home within like a 12-month period of time, which would be awesome. So like that's what we're trying to do is turn these people back into self-productive members of society. We want to provide employment support. So we want to try to make some partnerships with some different companies and jobs that are willing to hire the people that we put into our program, and give them a shot, and know that they may not be coming from the best situation. They may have some baggage, they may have some issues that they've gone through, but know that, everybody deserves, forgiveness, and everybody deserves a second chance at, trying to better themselves. I mean, that's the whole point, is trying to get people to better themselves. So, um, we're also going to partnership with the local social services offices and try to get these people and individuals that we work with, all the benefits that they are entitled to and services that they're entitled to and qualify for, like food stamps, health care, housing voucher assistance programs, even free cell phones, so they can build stability in their lives. These programs are safety net type programs. There's a lot of abuse out there of people who are in the programs that really shouldn't be in the programs. But, our people definitely should be in the programs because they're coming from, not having much. A lot don't have jobs, they don't have any income, and they got nobody to turn to. And that's why these safety programs were put into place. So we wanted to help them utilize those programs. We as an organization, Right Way Outreach Ministries, are going to be doing, you're going to see us all over the place, in Baltimore and Harford counties. We're going to be doing all kinds of fundraising events. I think they're going to be more frequent as we start to raise more money. We got our first big event coming up on Friday night, November 7th, which is going to be at Day John Vineyards. I am going to do another updated video about that because I have some news about that, that I'm going to share with everyone. We're going to do that on another video. And I also want you to know that these fundraising events are going to be sponsored by Right Way Outreach Ministries, and they're going to be free. They're going to be free. Now, some of the events we're going to ask people to register through Eventbrite. They will be free tickets, and the first come, first serve. So when we got like 200 tickets, is when they go, they're gone. So we want people who, want to come out and support our organization and have a good time. We're going to be having a good time in some of these places. So that's kind of what we're all about, is having a good time and raising some funds for people, to try to help them out and give back. So we have purchased a website domain, and we are currently working on our brand new website called freeonlinechurch.org. We're going to be working with the site developers to try to allow us to stream our church service that we run every Sunday. That's at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Sunday, led by myself. I'm not a pastor. I'm not any kind of priest, deacon, or clergy or whatever. I'm not part of any of those kind of organizations. I don't have any credentials. I'm not ordained. I'm not anything. I'm just a regular average guy trying to talk to regular average people, and meet them at their level and explain things to them in the Bible and how they can relate it to today's world and today's life that they actually live in the real world, right? So, because this was written long time ago, and but it still applies to today, and today the way we live our lives and everything. So it's very important, to do, and it's very important to get the word, the actual word, into your lives from the Bible. And a lot of times these churches, they don't really read too much of the word. They got a lot of, talk and a lot of energy and a lot of music and a lot of coffee and a lot of everything else, but they don't always have a lot of the word, and then the word is what it's all about. So, we're not trying to replace the local churches. I actually go to church myself, but it is important for you to go to a church to be around people. But it's important to find a church that is biblically based. If you need a recommendation, you can watch some of my videos. I just plugged one the other day that I go to. Um, I'm happy to point you in the right direction of some pastors that I know that are kind of doing it the way that I think it should be done. I mean, I'm not the end all be all, but I've been through a whole bunch of different churches, and I've seen a whole bunch of different organizations, and I see how they run things and control things and all that, and how the money works. Because a lot of the big mega churches, it's all about the money. So you got to watch where it flows to. But anyway, we are a fully approved IRS nonprofit charity organization. So any donations that we receive, any gifts that we receive, are tax deductible. It's important for you to understand that. Just like giving to your church, we're a charity organization too. So you can give to us, in addition to or instead of whatever you prefer. Because what we're going to do is hold ourselves accountable, and we're going to be doing, pictures of our events. We're going to be doing some videos and things. We're going to be doing some interviews. We're going to be talking to some people who actually benefit from some of our services and programs, and seeing what they think of everything. So they're going to go on here and do some testimonials for us about how we've been able to help them and change their lives and things like that. We're also going to be providing some funds, some excess funds, to some local charity organizations around the area that we feel are doing things the right way. If they're running their organization the right way and they're helping people the right way, we have no problem donating some of our money to them so they can continue to fund their programs and services that are already working. We're going to do the same thing with churches. If churches are doing it the right way, we're going to make some donations to the churches too to support them, because they need help, and they need help, and especially money. Money helps a lot of problems. So, that's kind of what we're trying to do here. And but our goal is to be lean and impactful. Unlike traditional churches that have a huge and heavy overhead, we operate a very lean budget and put maximum resources into helping people directly. That's where the majority of our money goes. Now, in the beginning, obviously, we do have some startup costs. We did a little t-shirt sponsorship, raised a whole bunch of money with that. We're actually selling the t-shirts, kind of organically, because we don't have like an online store or anything like that yet. Hopefully we will one day, but for right now we don't. So we're just kind of selling them at our events and some of our fundraising opportunities and some of our outreach, events that we do with different like markets and things like that. And you know, but the thing is, I want you to understand that we are 100% led by God, right? Like, God is the one that gave me this idea. God is the one that gave me the name. God is the one that gave me, signs. I'm driving around seeing all these one-way signs. I'm like, it's one way, but we got to do it the right way. It just all kind of came together. That's just kind of how my life works. Is God shows me things, and then I have to figure out. It's like a puzzle. Like, he'll show me stuff, and I'm like, why are you showing me this? And I got to kind of figure it out and put it all together. So, that's what I'm trying to do with this organization and putting it together. For now, my wife and I run the organization. We do have volunteers that help us out as well at some of the events and venues and things that we do. We do have some great sponsors that have stepped up, that have decided to sponsor us, but we're always looking for more corporate sponsors. There's a video I did about how to become a corporate sponsor with us. If you have questions, whatever, you can certainly contact us. Just fill out the contact form. It comes right to my email address, and I will reach out to you when I get time and talk to you about what we can do. If you're an individual or family, want to make a donation, there's a link in this description to this YouTube video for our GoFundMe page right now. That's what we're using is the GoFundMe page. I'm going to be creating eventually another GoFundMe for specifically for nonprofits because this one I have is just for charity organizations, but they do have one specifically for nonprofits, which I'm going to do. When I created this one, we didn't have our full nonprofit status yet, so I didn't want to, mislead people and say that we were a nonprofit when we weren't really a nonprofit yet. But we are now. We're fully nonprofit and everything. And our goal, with God's help, is that, like the traditional churches can only reach, a couple hundred people at their service, right? Like even the biggest church on the planet might be able to fit a couple thousand people into their church. And then even think about like a football stadium, even if you were to do like a church there, you could fit maybe 80,000, maybe 100,000 at max capacity into one of those places, and that's great and all too. But what about using things like YouTube and being able to do an online church service and make it free for everyone? You don't have to buy a subscription. You don't have to pay for anything. If you feel like you want to make a donation, you can, but there's absolutely no pressure, no obligation. And what we want to do is just teach the Bible. And we want to take that message as far as it will go in the earth. Um, and the whole planet. We're starting now. Our goal is to reach all the English speaking countries right now because I speak English. If we can figure out how to translate it, we'll try to go to different countries that have different languages and stuff too, and try to spread the word that way. Or we'll get people from other countries to partner with us to do what we do and give them ideas and things. But it's important. It's so important to get a good message, and I know there's a lot of people out there who just feel kind of weird about going to church. There's been like scandals in the Catholic Church and just people feel one way about it or whatever. And it's like this is kind of like church for everybody. This is like, something that, and it's biblically based. This is coming right from the book of truth, right from the Bible. And that's what we're talking about. Real stories from Jesus, and all about Jesus. That's what we're talking about. And I'm just breaking it down for you and showing you how it relates to the real world that we live in today in 2025. So, um, that's pretty much who we are. That's pretty much what we're about. That's pretty much what we're doing. And that's pretty much what our mission is. So we just want to help people who have been forgotten about, people who have been kind of outcast by society as, problems and, mental